Alrighty, hello, you guys. Welcome back to the channel. As promised, we are back on this Anything Can Happen Wednesday, and anything is surely happening as I am catching up with all the news, all the drama, all the politics, all the things that can happen that have been happening. I am catching up, and believe me, it's been crazy, but it's just like to think that you're just like, can this get any worse? And then, surely enough, the world shows you, yes, it can. But we're going to be diving into a few topics today, so I want to make the most of this time, but I want to introduce to you guys what we're going to be discussing. Of course, we have to get a little small of an update with everything that's going on between Candace Owens. Her rivalry is just the feud. They're just feuding between her and Erica. Like, the pressure is on, the drama is there, and the heat is just turning up a notch between them each and every day. Erica specifically calls Candace which we'll get into, as well as a small update regarding the Tate brothers' arrest. I know we touched up on it on Monday, but I have more insight for you and things that we weren't even expecting. Stay tuned for that. And then lastly, I think I want to touch base on something that's pretty important, that's making its way, at least through X, with criticisms with Barron Trump, specifically with his stock investments, while we have people around his age that are dying overseas. And he's facing a lot of criticism right now, or at least the Trump administration is, because while you have some people making millions, you have other people that are not even able to obtain their own lives. There was a 19-year-old service member woman who basically passed away, unfortunately, due to the intensified backlash against the Trump administration and the Iran policy. So we're going to dive into all that today. There are more stuff, but like I said to you guys, I'm catching up. But before we get into today's topic, do remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, and do like the video and comment below. 1, if you have been keeping up. 2, if you have been just as busy as me and caught up with other things in life, but are just as shocked to know all the chaos. I am genuinely confused, but as you guys know, in each and every video, we do add value, so stay all the way at the end, because I'm going to give my general thoughts and opinions overall and how this should impact you, or how you should be seeing these matters. But without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Okay, so I'm just debating like where to start. Where should we start? You know, let's save the best for last. Let's save Candace for last, because I know that's why most of you guys came and tuned in. Let's start off with the backlash that Barron Trump is facing. So, relevant, what I'm understanding, right? There was the death of a 19-year-old woman named Isabel, and I popped what I'm referencing on screen right here. U.S. Donald Trump's son, Barron Trump, making massive profits from stock investments before the Iran war, while 19-year-old U.S. soldier Isabella Gonzalez was killed, has fueled backlash against the Trump administration's Iran policies. Now, why is this relevant, or why is this important, or why do people even care? Of course, anyone's going to care for the death of our service members as American citizens, as proud patriots, right? We don't want any of our service members, we don't want anyone around the world to die, but much less our own people, right? If it's very different when, you know, your neighbor dies versus your own family, and we view our veterans, we view our, soldiers as family, because obviously they're representing the U.S. and they're protecting the U.S. And shout out to all my service members out there, that are continuing to, fight for our country despite all the controversy that's going on. So shout out to you guys for sure. But obviously, when you have someone younger than the president's son, and the president's son is sitting there living luxury, while we have other service members and women who are going out to die for a cause that no one really wants, of course there's going to be criticism, especially because back in the day, we know from history, from storytelling, whatever the case may be, that back then the leaders, they went out to fight. Their leaders' sons went out to fight. There was a representation that our leaders would go out and protect us, not send others to protect us. And even though we have seen that in history, not a lot of people are favorable to this. They're thinking, hey, if you want this to happen, then you need to send your own people, your own blood, your own family to do this, to go out and fight for what you want, to go out and do whatever you want to do when it comes to Iran. And respectfully, obviously, I have my own views and opinions. What I think it is unjust and unfair. I think a lot of the time, if we implemented these leaders, these presidents, these world dictators to go out and fight instead of sending people to fight on their behalf or go out with them to fight, I feel, it's just in my hearts of hearts, that a lot of these wars that are going on would not be going on. And say what you may, some of them still may be, because maybe they have that fighting spirit in them. But we don't know what's tested, tried, and true until it actually happens, right? So I think that maybe that's something that we can advocate for on a global sense, not just in America. Like, hey, if you want to go out and you want to fight and you want us to fight as well, you come out with us and you come to the battlefield and you be in the nick of, boots on ground with us and see what goes on. And I promise you, they would think twice before sending any missiles, before shooting any weapons, or before declaring war on anybody. So that is just my 2 cents. But I shout out in a moment of silence to Isabel and our service members who died. Let's just take that moment to honor them. Yeah, and then let's just do our best to, use your voice, whether if it's on social media, whether if it's in the voting polls. Remember, the midterms are coming up, and I'm not telling you guys which way to vote, left or right, Trump, not Trump. That's going to be up to you. I'm putting the earnest on you guys' hands because I want you guys to hold yourselves accountable to the decisions that you make. And before making a decision, really think about what's going on, the impacts of voting for Trump, voting against Trump, the impacts, the negative and positive ones. Because there are some, whether people want to acknowledge them or not. But, it's a very unfortunate, this story, but it is something that's trending, and I don't think it's unreasonable for people to be concerned or show outrage in circumstances like this, specifically, especially when you see the difference between a young man and a young woman who's younger, who lost her life for the sake of something that, is out of his control as well. He can't control what his father does, but he's a direct representation of him as his son. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles, you guys. But, and for any of you guys who got that reference, yes, you guys are my people for sure. But let's move on to the next story because I don't have that much time today. I'm going to be rapid firing through these topics because I am just super busy, but I wanted to remain consistent. I wanted to come to you guys as promised to deliver you guys more and more and more content. But going off to the second part. Now, to our surprise, doing a very quick update on the Tate brothers. Now, as you know, for those who may not have tuned in with us on Monday, if you haven't, go check out this video. I do more of a breakdown specifically to this. If you guys want to know my thoughts and opinions on the Tate brothers or on the actual case itself, I would recommend to look into this video. But we have a small update. So obviously, Andrew Tate's lawyers came out on Monday to represent him and to give basically an overall I want to say communication, but that's not the word that I'm looking for specifically. But to give commentary, there you go, commentary on the state of the Tate brothers, what's going on, and what they're trying to do in order to get them released, and what they think is driving these causes. So just to give you guys a little bit of a nutshell, he basically said, of course, this is a politically driven initiative. The reason is, because Andrew Tate has been very vocal about his views. At the end of the day, there has been a podcast that came out with Andrew Tate that we're probably going to react to on Friday, God willing that I have the time. But I will have that on my to-do list. So whether if it's this week or next week, you guys will see me react to that specific podcast. But obviously, there's a lot of uncertainties and a lot of speculation. But obviously, there is some type of political driver there, right? He's very vocal about the UK. He's very highly critical about their policies, about how they go about their government, about immigration, about everything that they're doing. And he's just, expresses his opinion in maybe not the most favorable way. So a lawyer officially said that he is being targeted, whether the reason, he can't fully express the reasons why. But he did mention by name that, he would highly rely on the Trump administration, specifically Marco Rubio. And I believe an article came out. This article I referenced right here so you guys know. So it's from the Washington Post. It is, sorry you guys, one second. I just want to go to the title. It is titled, Trump admin won't block Tate brothers extradition to the UK on sex charges, which is very surprising given how complimentary the Tate brothers have been to Trump, especially specifically his administration. The article further goes on and says Washington, the Trump administration won't block the extradition of notorious manosphere influencer Andrew and Christian Tate to the UK after they were arrested Saturday on rape and sex trafficking charges. The Post has learned the Department of Justice has written a court papers that Secretary of State Marco Rubio has sole discretion to halt brothers' removal from the U.S., but White House and State Department officials said Wednesday that no such intervention is coming. The secrecy has not, the Secretary has not spoken to the Tate brothers or their lawyers. The Department of State has no plans to act on this matter at this time, a senior department official said, while a second source familiar with the matter also confirmed the planned extradition. Now, very surprising, at least for me. I'm not, I probably dabble like everyone else into, certain topics. You may hear certain things on podcasts, but you don't actually really know the relationship that someone has with an administration, with someone else, with a business in general until, the metal is tested, until you are tried and true. And this is the moment where all the compliments that Andrew Tate has given to the Trump administration, or maybe things that happen behind the scenes that we're knowing, may not hold up, because now they're saying that they're not going to get involved. And if you don't believe the article, listen to this small clip from Marco Rubio himself, basically stating where his position is with the Tate brothers.
Lawyers mentioned you by name. I know one of the Tate brothers' lawyers mentioned you by name. Do you plan to get involved with the extradition challenge that they have been?
Mention me by name?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, look, that extraditions, I don't know the details of this particular case. I've been overseas, but I mean, I know who you're talking about. I just don't know the details of it. These cases have a process that they go through in the courts. My understanding is that they're involved in that judicial process. And so that'll play itself out at this point. And there's no role for us to play at this moment, or maybe ever, in that regard. But I'm not going to opine on something that's still working through a legal process.
Surprising. You heard it from the horse's mouth himself that he would not be getting involved with something that is still going through the legal process. Now, is that ultimately saying that he's not going to get involved? Who knows? Is that saying that he doesn't have the power to help the Tate brothers out? Who knows? What it is saying, what we do know, is that the Tate brothers are currently in solitary confinement, awaiting for a decision to be made if they're going to be extradited or not, and are clinging on to probably the hopes that someone from the administration or some miracle helps them get released and get back to their families, and possibly maybe go to the UK on their own without extradition to deal with these charges. We don't know what's to come, but we do know what's current right now. And it is very surprising, especially when a podcast, and I want to play a small clip of it. Very, very, very small clip. I'm going to do my best to find it. I don't have it locked up here, but if I do, as I'm editing, I'm going to post it right here so you guys can see.
And now that girl A, who began it all, is about to be deposed, the messages are back. Coincidentally, she wants to settle. The number for the sponsorship contract was $50 million across 3 years. And I've just been offered $50 million if I drop my case, if I don't mention it ever again, and I shut up. But then I don't get my day in the sun, Jack. Then I don't get to put her on the stand and everyone say what she did, and everyone apologize to me. And finally, all my suffering was worth it, because if I take $50 million, my life doesn't change. I have enough money. Not the richest man in the world, but I've done well. I'm a smart guy. But I want everyone to see how I was set up. But if I turn down the money that made them use option 1 and 2, and then I turn it down again, they only have option 3 left. And that's why we're making this video. Because I have a terrible suspicion that I won't make it to trial. And if that happens, that's when I want you to release this video.
Yeah, but you guys can see that Andrew Tate basically gave a little hint that maybe a deal was offered to him. And in denying that deal, he may have set himself up to be in the position that he is right now. How this will play out, we do not know. I am genuinely curious. Why, you may ask? Well, here are my thoughts and opinions. Well, let's just assume that all the information that we have right now is true, right? We're not deep diving into the relationships in the background. We're not deep diving into the things of the unknown. We're just taking what right now is being presented to the public. Let's assume, well, we already know this for a fact. He was arrested, he's in custody, he's in solitary confinement. Those are 3 things that we know for a fact. We also know that he is facing charges. He already had past charges of, RAPE and sex trafficking charges from before, and now he's facing additional charges with apparently explicit photos of children. Now, whether these are going to hold up in court, we do not know. But those right now are the information that we're dealing with. From based off what Marco Rubio said and based off what's been reported, he does have some kind of authority, whether or not that the Tate brothers are going to be extradited or not, or whether he's going to help them out and try to find some path forward to get them released and have this addressed appropriately. However, Marco Rubio said that he has no intentions and no plans at this current moment to help the Tate brothers. So we laid out that foundation. He's going to let the jurors, the courts do what the court has to do, right? Now, circling full circle with Andrew Tate's interview about him receiving a $50 million deal and him basically denying it, it begs so many questions, first and foremost, but it also begs the question of, is what he's saying is true? Is what he's saying that the fact that he just wants to make men men again? Is the fact that he just wants to build a world and influence a world that can go back to some kind of sanity level where men knew what their role is, women knew what their role is, and we all lived in peace and harmony? Is that true of a fact, or is there something deeper that we were not seeing here? Maybe he has insider information on certain things. Maybe he doesn't. We don't know. We're going to react to the full podcast. But what I will say is that this does not make the Trump administration, this does not make the global leaders of the world, the UK, look any better when he's coming out on podcast saying like, hey, if you take this deal and be quiet, we can make all this disappear. And Andrew Tate is standing his ground right now on, no, I will not be silenced. You can cut off my head. You can put me in jail, whatever the case may be. I will stay firm on my principles. And that at the end of the day goes a long way for young men and goes a long way in for anyone. And I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, I'm a Tate fan or anything like that. Like, there's certain things that he says that are common sense that anyone can agree with. There's certain things that he says that I just don't agree with. And there's certain things that he says that there's no disagreeing or anything. It's just his personal preference, and it's just not my thing. So there's not for me to judge the man. It's for me to look at things objectively and realize and see what's true and what's not. And at the end of the day, we don't know what's true and what's not because there's so much different information that's being withheld from the public, whether on the Tate brothers account or whether if it's from governments or the UK or the US, because there's limited information that we're exposed to. We're not privy on these conversations that they're having. The most that we have are the articles that come out regarding this and the podcasts that the Tate brothers have said. And even if they've been very vocal about their position, they haven't been completely forward with everything, because remind you, they're going through the court system. They have to be mindful their lawyers are trying to protect them as much as possible. But look where they are now. We're hoping for the best. May justice be served regardless of which way that it needs to go. And whatever characters. And you know what? I do have my I am very speculative in nature because, let's just be honest, the same people who had the authority to hold people in the Jeffrey Epstein files accountable are now holding the Tate brothers accountable when the most likely what the things that are in the Jeffrey Epstein files are more egregious. I'm not trying to sit there and downplay if these charges against them are true, but they're very, very similar to what we're seeing in Epstein files. And to be honest, it's a very small degree compared to a global ring, a global trafficking of children, a global exploitation of children that was going on, that was led allegedly by countries around the world. So I just think that if we're going to hold them accountable, we should be holding everyone accountable. But I digress. I only have a few more minutes, so I wanted to touch base on this last juicy topic that I think most of you guys decided to tune in for, which is Candace Owens and Erica Kirk, the rivalry, the feud, the battle, whatever you want to call it, the ongoing war between Erica Kirk and Candace Owens, specifically with who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. And you know what? respectfully have not been keeping up with the case. Like I said to you guys, for the past 2 weeks, I wasn't even filming. I wasn't even on air. And I just haven't had the time. Even now that I'm trying to catch up, it's so much to catch up on, guys. So please give me some grace. But I did see this. And I saw it yesterday. And I was like, you know what? We have to talk about this today. Because this is, like, the feud must be feuding if Erica Kirk herself is coming out saying articles regarding specifically calling Candace Owens what we would know to be a female dog. Spell it right here below so you guys can see. So let's just hear from Candace herself. I have a clip ready for queued up for you guys. Let me write this one down real one second, you guys. 1 second, sorry. Let's get into it though. Let's get into it real quick.
Because we get to see the real Erica. Here is the extraordinary headline. Erica hates Candace Owens. She thinks she's the ugliest person in the world, a soulless ghoul. Charlie Kirk's family reveal widow's private tirades against the podcaster that she refers to as that BI. Not gonna curse here. So for clarity, a ghoul in Middle Eastern folklore is a demonic being that haunts burial grounds and deserted places. Traditionally, these creatures were said to have the ability to shapeshift, to lure travelers into the desert and to consume the flesh of both children and the dead. It's a strong occult start to what is sure to be a promising article. It's kind of how we felt about the people surrounding Charlie. Soul suckers a little bit, right? And for those of you that are wondering if the story is actually attributable, meaning like, is this just a gossip piece in the Daily Mail? You would do well to remember that Turning Point USA turned to the Daily Mail exclusively to clean up their Charlie GPT Aspen mess. They gave them special access to see the unedited clip that the public still has not seen so that their journalists could then turn and tell the world, you can trust the video totally exists. It's real. Charlie really did pick Erica to run the company in the event of his untimely death.
And remember, sorry, small pause. We did cover that, you guys. So if you guys want to check it out, I'm going to do my best to find the video, but it's right here. Most likely it'll be right here. If not, then I'll clip that out. But either way, let's continue.
Which unfortunately just so happened to transpire just 3 short weeks later. Remember that? They went to the Daily Mail. So that demonstrates a real PR relationship between Turning Point USA and the Mail. And as another point, the author of this piece reached out to Turning Point's spokespeople for comment, and they declined to give a comment. That is an opportunity for them to issue a statement saying, this is not true. We have no idea what you're talking about. Instead, they just declined to add to the article. So we can assume this is real. And they list a family friend as a source initially. And then elsewhere in the article, they say a family member. At the beginning, it says a family friend. I think that's probably going to be a Tracy Martin-esque character, given the fact that she's the one person that I know that's close to Erica, is a friend, and is also close to Erica's family, namely Lori. She's actually the only person that I know. My guess would be Tracy Martin, because she's also been the driver behind other wacky pieces that Us Magazine won, but who knows? That's not the point. It doesn't really matter. We don't have to speculate as to who the family friend is. Let's just stick with the facts, okay? So the piece opens up by letting us know that Erica has remarkable compassion for Tyler Robinson and his family. I kid you not. It says, quote, when Erica arrived in a tiny Utah courtroom earlier this month to face her husband's alleged killer, she expected to be overcome with rage. It was the first time she had come face to face with Tyler Robinson, the man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk at the speaking event at Utah Valley University 10 months ago. And yet, in place of anger, Erica instead felt an overwhelming sense of sadness.
Okay, we're going to stop right there because, again, guys, I'm limited on time here. And I didn't get to watch this full podcast. Maybe I'll do a full reaction to this. We will have to see when Friday comes. Tune in to our Friday show because I want to just at least spend an hour with you guys just breaking down these stories, whether it's Andrew Tate, whether it's this one. But a little bit about my thoughts. For one, let's just start with... this is crazy. This is all crazy. And the reason I say it's crazy is not maybe for what you think. Obviously, like, we wouldn't want Charlie's old friend and his wife feuding over nonsense. And you would think that they'd be on the same team of trying to find out who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. But things like this, like I said to you guys before in the past, does not help Erica Kirk's case. Like, for you to be mad at Candace Owens, who was, whether she continues to be, was when he was alive, At a point in time, she was his friend. That's undeniable. They traveled the world together. They have videos out, the woo-wah, whatever you want to call it, during their time when she was under TPUSA. Whether if it was a close working relationship or a genuine friendship or a close working relationship that molded into a genuine friendship over time, regardless, she was with Charlie day in and day out, and they seem to have shared good moments together. So you cannot fault Candace Owens for wanting to know the truth or for being speculative, as everyone else is, regarding the official narrative. And even if the official narrative, and for some people, in some people's mind, does make sense, it's still normal for someone to have rage towards the circumstances of their friend being killed in cold blood, let alone their friend being killed in general. So you would think, I'm just saying, you think that level of compassion and understanding and patience that Erica Kirk has for Tyler Robinson, she would have with Candace Owens, because she actually knew Charlie. They actually both had a relationship with Charlie. And guess what? Candace didn't murder. And I hope that doesn't get flagged. But Candace didn't murder Charlie. This man allegedly, and everything I'm saying in this video, everything that I have said, everything I'm going to say, everything that I am saying right now, is allegedly. We want to protect ourselves as best as possible. But you would think that that same consideration, that same amount of grace would be extended to someone who was actually directly tied to Charlie, that's actually grieving alongside with you, even if you guys are feuding. You guys are both, I'm hoping, you guys are both obviously missing the fact that Charlie is not there. And I know everyone has their own way of like processing information, but let's just let wherever you stand, whether if you're for the narrative, not for the narrative, for Candace Owens, for Erica Kirk, let's just like take a moment to separate those things. And let's just be honest. It sounds very weird that you can forgive and give consideration to someone who actually killed your husband versus someone who's expressing their opinions online out of anger for the fact that your husband, her friend, was killed. I'm just saying, that is my opinion. You guys may not like it. Share your comments below. I'm open to having a discussion. I'm hoping to have a discussion with anyone about anything, because at the end of the day, it's just an opinion. And the facts of the case, the facts of the matter are going to come out. And more information, whether if it's through, intelligence agencies, whether if it's through dual process, whether if it's through the courts, whether if it's through Candace Owens, whether if it's through Erica Kirk, TPUSA, Barron Coleman, whoever is investigating the case, Project Institution, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. We're going to find out the truth. So I want you guys to what I want you guys to get out of all these articles, right? What am I saying with bringing up, Barron Trump and, his massive success with investments, or Andrew Tate and his, his recent arrest, and, the fact that he may have been set up, the fact that the alleged fact that he may have been set up, the alleged fact that he may have denied a deal and he's in this position because of that denying of the deal. Or what is the relevance of me bringing up Erica Kirk, feuding with Candace Owens? How does this affect the average person? The truth is, it doesn't affect you, because your life goes on. My life went on. Obviously, I had so many stuff to do, and I still have stuff to do, and that's why I can't sit here and talk to you guys this whole entire time for hours and hours on end like before, because I just have so much things to navigate through. But it doesn't mean that these situations are not important, because if they're happening for people around the world, whether if it's as a distraction to something, whether if it's because they're trying to send a message to the masses, whether if it's just some form of control, whatever the case may be that they're trying to prep us for, it's important to allow the manipulation to seek into your mind, as our dear Andrew Tate would say, and take out the true underlining tangible things that you should be thinking about, and prepare yourself for them. Whether if it's with an ongoing war and the risk that we uphold with things coming here, or retaliations happening, or supplies getting short, bulk up on things. Whether if you're looking into the Charlie Kirk investigation and trying to understand who killed Charlie Kirk, how and why, protect yourself, especially if you have people in your life that are going into politics, that have federal positions, or just in general, if you have views that may not be favorable to other people, because you guys see, even regular Joe Schmoes could get killed, whether you're a Charlie Kirk or whether you're someone very small. It is important to protect yourself, but also don't be afraid to stand on what you believe in. And sometimes, I'm not going to encourage people to do this, but sometimes you need to die on the hill that you stand on. Because what is more important to you? To die on your knees? To live on your knees, or to die standing knowing that you stood for what you believed in, especially as a man. And I know that's not always easy, but when the battle comes, that's when you're going to be tested, tried, and true to see if what you believe in actually stands the test of times and you won't fold. So, and as far as anything with the Trump administration, the unfortunate death of that young girl or any service member, I want us to just collectively just be more strategic, fill ourselves with knowledge, be more intentional and decisive, and making better decisions when it comes to who we elect in office. And I get it. Those were our two options, and people are saying, hey, I had to choose between the lesser evil. The fact that we had to put two people that are the lesser evil as our candidates should be like something that we're questioning. Instead of just electing whoever is willing to take the position, let's encourage those who can really get the job done, whether they want to take the position or not. I know there needs to be a level of willingness there, but you can push and you can influence people that you actually know that are actually doing a great job, whether they're already in politics, have the potential to be in politics, or they're young and they have that drive like Charlie Kirk did. He's starting off when he's younger. Encourage these people. Put better people in place, vote for better people, and be very intentional. And if you cannot decide on who to vote for, then maybe you need to really think about whether you should be involving yourself in something that you can hold, that can be held accountable to you last in the future, because you're basically responsible for who you vote for. Right? And this is not me saying not to vote. It is important to vote, but it's more important to make a strategic decision and to make a best decision. And even before we get to the voting booth, when we're selecting candidates and sponsoring candidates and putting stuff on our yard, be mindful of who that person that you're putting on the front of your yard, what they represent, what they will do, because we need to join together as a community, as Americans, to do better, to make better decisions. So I know I said a little bit of a lot, and I went over more time than I wanted to give myself, but I wanted to come to you guys with something today. As you guys know, we drop content every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Our double feature Fridays, which include our weekly recap. So I'll try to figure out which I'm gonna go over, because there's so much to discuss. We'll probably dive deeper into the Tyler Robinson case, looking into the feud between Candace Owens, looking more into the Andrew Tate brothers, or if there's anything else that you guys specifically want me to cover, do comment below. Or if there's anything that I may have missed for the past 2 weeks that's going on this week, look, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm trying to manage it all. It is not easy, but we'll get there. And then followed with our recap for the week, we do have our Love Actually series that goes live every Friday at 8 p.m. So that's pretty much our double feature Friday. I hope to see you guys then. Do remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, and do like the video. And I'll see you guys soon. So bye.